Hey, Black Belt Reads. Just wanted to do a little recap here. What I read the last month, a lot of graphic novels. This one is just going to be novels. I've got three novels. I've got three classics, really. I've just been in a mood for classics lately for some reason. So the first one, starting with The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I picked this up because I recently read Catcher in the Rye. I did a whole video about Catcher in the Rye, and some people suggested to read The Bell Jar because I liked The Catcher in the Rye so much. I had such a glowing review of it. They said The Bell Jar is sort of like a counterpart to it from a female perspective. After having read it now, I can definitely see where they're coming from. They're very, very different books, but I can see the comparison. It's just kind of a young adult coming of age in the big city, sort of. So, Catcher in the Rye, of course, from a male, and then the Bell Jar from a female. The big difference is the Bell Jar is extremely depressing. There's a lot of talk of suicide, attempted suicide, actual suicide, depression, mental illness, but the overall theme of what am I doing in my life? Where am I going? What's the point of all this? The unknown future ahead. That is very similar to Catcher in the Rye. Man, there was a part in The Bell Jar where she is sitting under a fig tree. I believe the character's name is Esther in the book. She's sitting under this fig tree and looking at all the figs, and she's imagining each one as a different path that she could take in her life. This one is a nurse. This one is a writer. This one is a mother. This one is a wife. And all these figs are dropping to the ground and just rotting because she's afraid to choose one. So when you don't choose one, you lose them all. That is such a beautiful analogy for life. And I have felt that in my life for sure. I've been paralyzed by choice. And yeah, I thought that was one of the most beautiful parts of the book. There's so many really great quotes in the book. I didn't write any down for the video. I just kind of highlighted them in the Kindle. I read this one on the Kindle. Man, yeah, really beautifully written, really tragic. Especially after I finished the book, I wanted to read a little bit more about Sylvia Plath. I didn't know anything about her. This is her only novel, I'm pretty sure. I think she has maybe a short story collection and a journal or something like that. But yeah, she committed suicide in her actual life shortly after this novel was published in the 50s or 60s or something, 70s, I can't remember. I looked it up and she put her head in the oven and killed herself through carbon monoxide poisoning. Wild. Yeah, can you imagine just the struggle in your life to want to do something like that? Apparently, she had attempted suicide several times throughout her life. So I think The Bell Jar is sort of autobiographical in a way. Man, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It's got some, you know, some weird stuff. It's kind of slow. It's got some weird racist stuff in it, which is pretty common for these type of old books. But after I put the book down, I thought about it a lot. I really enjoyed my time with it, so I gave it 5 stars, just like I did Catcher in the Rye. All right, so shortly after that, I was led to True Grit by Charles Portis. There's a couple of reasons why I went this way next. First of all, I really wanted to read a Western. For some reason, I was just in the mood to read a Western, and I have a few on my shelf. I've really not read any of them. Of course, I've got Lonesome Dove and some others that people have highly recommended to me. I decided to do True Grit for two reasons. One, it was the shortest of the books I have back there, the Westerns. It was the shortest, but also following up with the bell jar, it's a female protagonist. So they kind of just flowed into each other for me. This was interesting because I've never seen the movie. I don't really know anything about the book at all. I just knew it was a female revenge story. That's all I knew. It was excellent, truly excellent. Little did I know this book takes place where I'm from. I was born in Louisiana, but I live in Arkansas. And this book takes place just a couple hours down the road from me, where all this happens. So that was really fun to read about. That was interesting. I have a few books back there on my shelf that take place right around the area where I'm from. I've lived here most of my life. But yeah, True Grit. So this girl's father was murdered and she needs revenge. So she wants to hire a police officer, a marshal. This is, back in the olden days. And she wants someone with grit. So she goes to this town and says, "Do you have any marshals here that will help me do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, we got a few." She said, "Tell me about them." Well, this one, he's very, very known for being an upstanding guy. He will, make sure and arrest you safely and not kill you and take you in and do things properly by the law. This one, he's a little wild. He'll shoot first, ask questions later. This one, she's like, "I want that one." He's like, "I don't recommend that guy." This old Rooster is his name, Rooster Cogburn. "I don't recommend that one." She's like, "I want that one. I want someone with grit." She wants someone that's going to shoot first and ask questions later because she doesn't care about no reward money or anybody else's problems. She wants this man to know he's being killed because of what he did to her papa. It was really fun read, quick read. It's got an afterword by Donna Tartt, which I thought was interesting when I picked it up. Now I realize why. It's because she has a glowing review of the book. She says it's one of her favorite books of all time. Another reason I picked this up is because I actually read Joe Hill say that this was his favorite book of all time, True Grit. I'm like, man, I really need to read that. I love Joe Hill. I've only read The Secret History by Donna Tartt, but I loved that book as well. So yeah, she had a glowing review talking about how she grew up with it. Always a copy around the house, passed down from her grandmother to her mother to herself. And yeah, this definitely will be passed down to my children as well. It's a very easy read. I would say you could read this as a teenager easily. It's not got any, difficult language or anything, and no real, troublesome content in there. I mean, there's murder and all that, but it's written in a way that's it's very easy to digest. Yeah, excellent. I would love to check out some more Charles Portis. I know he's got a lot of other novels. Glad I knocked this one off. The next Western I do will have to be one of the big ones because I really don't have any small books like this left. All right, ending on a little bit of a different note here. I've been in a wild mood lately. I've been very depressed. I have a neck injury right now that's prevented me from training for the last couple months. And it's made me depressed, so the bell jar just was like, that came at a wild time. That might be why I like the book so much, because I was very depressed in my own life at the time. I decided I want to get into philosophy more. I've never really dived into any philosophy books. I started with the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is one that a lot of people suggested to start with. I've got The Republic by Plato. I've got some Nietzsche and a few others back here behind me. But I decided to start with this book, one, because a lot of people said to start here. And also, it is a small book. This took me a while to get through, actually, because I knew going into this is a book that you don't just speed read. You don't just try to read it as fast as you can to be done with it. This is a book that you slow down and you absorb the knowledge. You really read it, think about it, reread it. This is definitely one that I will reread multiple times, for sure. There's so many really, really great passages in the book. The biggest thing I took away from it, I've got to get better at just letting things go. He talks about several times in this book, just letting it go. Don't be hung up on what people do or their actions or what they say or the things that happen to you. You can't control that. Just let it go. You can't control the way the water flows. You can't control your own destiny, as it were. You can just do the best with what you have. And yeah, I have a problem with control sometimes where I try to control things a little bit too much in my life. It made me think about my kids. And, I don't want to control them. I gotta get better at just letting them be who they are. They're their own unique individuals. They're not carbon copies of me. If I, force them to play guitar with me or whatever, they're not necessarily gonna love that. I gotta let them choose their own path. Also, just not concerning yourself with, what other people think and stuff. I've always been pretty good at that one, but it's always something I want to work on. Um, I like to think that I don't really care what people think, but, a lot of times you do, even though you want to act like you don't. So just letting that go. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what they think. He's got a lot of really great passages about that sort of stuff. He was the emperor of Rome. It says on the back here, AD 161. So that's crazy, right? Like 2,000 years ago almost. Yeah, and it was just his journal. It was not meant to be published. It was just him writing to himself. But he was really ahead of the times there. What a beautiful thinker that he was. Can you imagine having so much power and not being power hungry and just trying to be better, trying to learn and do better over time? And yeah, it was really interesting, some of the things he said in here. I really enjoyed it. I'll probably do Plato's The Republic next. I think technically in the timeline that comes first because he referenced the Republic in this book. So, whoops, I probably should have started with the Republic, but that's okay. Maybe this was a nice way to dip my toes in the water because it wasn't a difficult read. I have a feeling the Republic might be a little more challenging of a read, but we'll see. I'm interested in philosophy. I'm all over the place. I have all kinds of interests. So, yeah, 3 books, not too bad. Thanks for watching, y'all. See you later.